right, guys, let's begin this broadcast right about now, shall we? In 3, 2, 1. And welcome to this, February the 3rd, 2020 podcast of this here podcast. It's me, once again. I'll start off the podcast by saying hello to Whit and Sarah and Brian, who are already watching, which is really cool. And I'll say, hold on, how about them Chiefs? What a game. What a game. Last night, Kansas City, I live in the Kansas City area, and it was electric. It was absolutely electric. And it was, I mean, the town was on fire in a positive way, not Detroit on fire, because Detroit on fire, you know, they just set everything on fire. But the entire downtown was lit up. Kansas City, for those of you who don't know, when it comes to professional sports, is America's biggest high school. Because people are so passionate about it. Everybody wears the colors every day. This last week, everybody wore their colors every day to support this team. And this is a 50-year journey for the people of Kansas City. And I'm glad that Lynn Dawson was able to see it because he's, you know, way up there in years. And he was the last Kansas City Chief in the Super Bowl in 1970. So it was amazing. It was really, really amazing. My son, he sent me some video from Lawrence, Kansas, and on Massachusetts Avenue, KU, near KU. Probably 10,000 people minimum. Power and Light District, 20,000 people downtown. Fireworks going off everywhere in Kansas City. It was something else. It really was something else. And it's more of a big deal, I think, for a city that is mid-sized like Kansas City versus, you know, some big cities like L.A. You know, it's a big deal to Kansas City to have the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. The big parade downtown will take place Wednesday. My son's going to go down for it. I have Wednesday off. I don't know if I want to deal with a million people. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, welcome to the show and go Chiefs. I'm gonna start off with something right now that I want to share with you. Those of you who know me, and many who don't know that I write for Rush, or you know, I haven't written for Rush in a couple of years because Kit Carson passed away, and Rush doesn't really run a lot of comedy anymore, and apparently had a falling out with Paul Shanklin, who's the other guy who did a lot of comedy for Rush, but gotten most of the notoriety. I just wrote comedy and did parodies just because it was an honor to have my comedy on a show that was heard by 30 million people a week. So I have a personal connection with Rush. In around 1990, I graduated from college. I was a 22-year-old kid. I was not making enough money in radio, so I began writing for comedy networks, these radio comedy networks. Yeah, your favorite morning show sometimes doesn't run their own comedy. In fact, most of the time they don't. And that's why I'm there. So I wrote satire, and I was making money doing that. And I hear about this guy named Rush Limbaugh, and a buddy of mine named Rusty Humphreys was working with him in New York. And I heard Rusty's voice on his show. He did a Mike Tyson impersonation, and I said to Rusty, I said, I know that's you, man. Do you suppose Rush would run any of my comedy? I said, I don't know. So this was time I was like 23 years old, and I sent a bit to him, and I think it was Capitol Hill Bank was the first one I did. And then I began this relationship with the Rush Limbaugh program for many years, over 20 years, writing comedy for him. And he's always been very, very kind to me. And it's always been just an honor to have my comedy on his show. Rush had a very difficult announcement today. If you haven't heard, he announced that he has cancer. Here he is today on his show, making what had to be an incredibly difficult announcement to his beloved following.
And I wish I didn't have to tell you this. And I thought about not telling anybody. I thought about trying to do this without anybody knowing, because I don't like making things about me. But there are going to be days that I'm not going to be able to be here. because I'm undergoing treatment or I'm reacting to treatment. And I know that that would inspire all kinds of curiosity with people wondering what's going on. And the worst thing that can happen is when there is something going on and you try to hide it and cover it up, it's eventually going to leak. And then people are going to, why didn't you just say it? Why'd you try to fool everybody? And it's not that I want to fool anybody. It's just that I don't want to burden anybody with it. And I haven't wanted to. But it is what it is. And you know me, I'm the mayor of Realville. So this has happened, and my intention is to come here every day I can and to do this program as normally and as competently and as expertly as I do each and every day, because that is the source of my greatest satisfaction professionally. Personally, I've had so much support from family and friends during this that it's been tremendous. And I told the staff today that I have a deeply personal relationship with God that I do not proselytize about. But I do, and I have been working that relationship tremendously, which I do regularly anyway, but I've been focused on it intensely for the past couple of weeks. I know there are many of you in this audience who have experienced this, who are going through it yourselves at the same time. I am, at the moment, experiencing zero symptoms other than... Look, I don't want to get too detailed in this. What led to shortness of breath that I thought might have been asthma or, I'm 69, could have been my heart. My heart's in great shape, ticking away fine, squeezing and pumping great. It was not that. It was a pulmonary problem involving malignancy. So I'm going to be gone the next couple of days as we figure out the treatment course of action and have further testing done. But as I said, I'm gonna be here as often as I can, and as is the case with everybody who finds themselves in this circumstance, you just want to push ahead and try to keep everything as normal as you can, which is something that I'm going to try to do.
Okay, there we go. So Rush
felt that I had to
Rush again. Rush again has here goes the microphone. Rush, there we go. Rush again has announced that he has advanced lung cancer. For those of you who know lung cancer, this is a difficult prognosis. So I won't say anything else. About that. Just hope and pray for him. Now, there's been a lot of hate online, and honestly, the left has always hated Rush Limbaugh. They've hated him from the get-go, and they've tried to take him down dozens of times. I want to share just a couple thoughts about what he has meant to the media environment in the United States and the culture and the politics of the country. Now, when I graduated from college, I was 22 years old. I was making minimum wage at the time, and everything I did, I was very angry. I started my way through college. I mean, I ate bologna and peanut butter sandwiches, and I lived in poverty when I was in college. I didn't have a television for 4 years. All I had was a boombox, and I felt like I didn't know who to blame. But I got out of college. I got a job right away, and I started working at radio in Columbia, Missouri, and I started writing for this guy named Rush Limbaugh, and I listened to him, and I knew in my heart that I was conservative on a lot of different issues, including being very pro-life. I knew that. I just didn't understand the whole scope of conservatism versus liberalism versus leftism. And Rush was the first person on the radio, is the first person on the radio who made it clear. He was the first person who really, challenged the talking heads, because when Rush started, CNN was around, had been around for a little while. There were the three networks, and you had to listen to what Uncle Walter or Peter Jennings or Tom Brokaw said every night, and you took it as gospel because that was it. That was it. And Rush Limbaugh came in using an antiquated method of delivery, which is amplitude modulation, AM radio. And he created a show that was overwhelmingly different, compelling, powerful, funny, and unabashedly conservative. And unashamedly and unapologetically. It was revolutionary. It was revolutionary. And the show blew up. And it changed the face of American politics. It changed the trajectory of the country, I believe. In 1993, Rush had been on the air nationally 4 years. Bill Clinton was in office. It was his midterm of his first term, and he lost Congress. He lost the House of Representatives. He lost Congress to the Republicans for the first time in 40 years. I was very involved in that with Rush. I was writing a lot of comedy about the Democrat Party, Bill Clinton, Count Tacula, a lot of the things that I did. I think Rush Limbaugh was one of the reasons why Bill Clinton lost the Houses of Congress for the first time in 40 years as a Democrat, because he was someone who had grown enough that he could counter what was being said on the nightly news and counter what was being said on CNN and say things like socialized medicine is BS. Socialized medicine. Hillary Clinton wanted to socialize medicine. They had these healthcare cards you'd carry with you, Medicare for all, which is what the Democrat Party still wants. And Rush Limbaugh, that was one of the major deciding factors. People said, no effing way do we want socialized medicine. And I think Rush Limbaugh lost Congress for Bill Clinton. I absolutely believe that. And has changed talk radio. He's made the median. He's made the median. Rush Limbaugh, there were a few conservative pundits, but there were a few, radio stations around the country where they had conservative hosts. WCBM in Baltimore, for instance. Tom Maher. There were a few, but Rush Limbaugh, he was the first to go national and in a giant way. He changed I don't know if he actually changed the amount of conservative in the country. He just made it more apparent. He made it okay to say you were conservative unabashedly. There are some places you can't do it now. You cannot do it on campus. You can't say you're conservative. You can't be there as a conservative speaker without Antifa showing up. So the louder that Rush got and the louder the conservative voices have gotten, the more the left has tried to silence it. And they tried to silence Rush. Rush ushered in a new breed of talk show host, unfortunately, frequently copying, emulating. That's the only negative. There are a lot of people who have opinions, and they're not afraid to share them on the radio. But if all you have is opinion, you're not different than anybody else. Rush has more than opinion. He has comedy. He does his own. He's a funny guy. He runs other people's comedy to put an exclamation point on thoughts and on points. If you can put a humorous point on the end of something you're trying to prove or whatever, it's funny. I know this. I've been doing it for a while. But he really he changed the trajectory of the country. He's the reason why Donald Trump is the president right now. He's the reason why Donald Trump is probably not liberal anymore. He's changed. There's no telling how many ways he changed the country. And you know what? If you say bad things about him and evil things online, go to hell. And I know you guys don't, but there's a lot of just hate online on just the most evil crap that you could ever imagine on Twitter. That's why I don't spend much time on Twitter, because it's a cesspool. But Rush is, and always has been for me, the most generous person that I could imagine. I got a chance to meet him, got a chance to talk to him. And he knew who I was, and I remember going to Washington, D.C. to meet him behind stage, and Bo Snerdley giving me a hug. He was like, Rob Carson. I was like, no way, man. Anyway, God bless him, and let's hope that they can stop this cancer. Okay. Let's move on to other stuff, shall we? Let's talk a little bit about, I guess, Wednesday. Wednesday is when the vote will come down. The acquittal of Donald Trump will happen. Of course, Adam Schiff lost his argument to add more witnesses and more testimony and more evidence, even though the Democrats said they had plenty of it. They had 18 witnesses in the House. Before they sent it over to the Senate, they had a slam dunk case, and suddenly it wasn't enough. When people really got to see what Adam Schiff was presenting as far as a conversation the president, who transcript that was released with the president of Ukraine was somehow a grounds for impeachment, was exposed as a fraud. And it was passed through the House easily on a partisan vote because the House is run by Democrats. When it got to the Senate, not so much. Facts matter. And this, well, let's just face it, the Democrats aren't in control there. So we are looking at the acquittal of Donald Trump on Wednesday on good grounds because there's nothing there. There's a montage of the Democrats over the weekend or so, basically saying that the acquittal is null and void.
If my Republican colleagues refuse to consider witnesses and documents in this trial,
they said no.
The president's acquittal will be meaningless.
Nope.
Well, he will not be acquitted. You cannot be acquitted if you don't have a trial, and you don't have a trial if you don't have witnesses.
So we're going to have a trial with no witnesses, and I think Speaker.
No, the witnesses were already called in the House, and that's where they were.
She is right. Then this can't be a real acquittal.
They cannot walk out of this building and allege and assert that there has been a true acquittal.
Oh, yes, they can, and they will, and I will too.
There will be no true acquittal if there is not a fair trial.
In fact, this trial is no vindication because it was really no trial, no witnesses.
But if we acquit this president in a sham trial with no witnesses,
the sham trial happened in the House, you idiot.
It's a precedent. You can abuse
where the president could not represent himself, where the opposing party could not ask questions, where they were essentially shut out. Are you kidding me? The sham trial, the kangaroo court was in the House of Representatives.
Office and Congress will simply look the other way.
It will be illegitimate. It will have been a rush to judgment. In fact, it's a rush to a cover-up.
There will be a permanent asterisk next to the acquittal of President Trump, written in permanent ink.
And Russia, if you're listening, 2020 is open for investigations.
He will be more likely to try to steal the 2020 election.
He didn't steal the 2016 election, you moron.
May not have a fair result. The very
they're already, and here's the goal, guys, and here's the goal. They are already trying to delegitimize the Democrats getting their asses kicked in 2020. They are saying to you who would vote for Donald Trump that your vote is worthless. That's exactly what they're saying. And the only thing they can do now is try in some way, shape, or form take away the legitimacy of the election like they've tried the 2016 election and failed.
Charge goes to the fairness of our elections.
People around the world are watching us going, this is what you want for the rest of the world? I mean, what a sad, sad moment.
So sad. It's a sad moment.
300 plus
that is so sad.
Years of democracy.
I think it's a sad day for the so-called Republican Party. They're going to need to find their...
I think they were pretty happy, actually.
Souls.
Yeah.
Good luck to that.
He's saying, essentially, let's just say this was a court case.
Honestly, get that hat off of his head. It is an insult to people from Iowa.
Yeah, he beat his wife. So?
This is going to be an enormous stain on the United States Senate.
And I fear very much.
I think there are a lot more stains in the Senate than you could possibly imagine.
That the president...
I mean, if you turned a black light in that place, it would be, like a murder scene.
will see himself as one who can emulate that kind of monarchical power.
It's actually quite scary. I think we're at a very scary moment.
I think you just spoke for metric
yes, but is it sad?
Our viewers watching tonight.
There you go. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Thank you, Grabian News, for that incredible montage. They do montages really good. Richard has joined us, Renee and Jim and Brian. Man, a lot of people watching tonight. I do appreciate it. Joy Reid says we are no longer a constitution. Oh, no. Let's do this next. Nancy Pelosi. I don't know when this is late last week, I guess. Look at her eyes, first of all. They look quite maniacal. It's like they're just, there's no pupils and there's no irises. It's weird. But she's talking about how essentially, again, this is the direction of the Democrat Party. Hi, Brian, by the way. It's good to see you. She's basically saying that the election is worthless. Now, listen to her. What she's saying here is preposterous. So,
but anyway, we have to make sure. This will sound political, but
everything you say is political. And by the way, look at her eyes. Ooh. Hold on. They follow you.
We have to make sure.
Weird.
That the Constitution wins the next presidential election.
The Constitution wins the next presidential election. So what does that mean? Well, that is a veiled threat. That is basically saying that the gosh darn it, this mic 1 2 1 2 2. This is irritating. I'm gonna have to get a new microphone. I need to crowdfund for it. Can you help me out? Anyway, this is basically her saying that the election will not count. Your vote doesn't count. The vote needs to be taken out of the hands of the American people. That's what this means.
We can't be worrying about how long is this going to take or that. It'll take as long as it does. And we will press the case so that in the court of public opinion, people
the court of public opinion
will know what is right. But
what does the court of public opinion have to do with anything with regard to a fair election? What does the court of public opinion have to do with that?
We cannot accept a second term for Donald Trump.
There you go. That's the money shot, folks.
For Donald Trump.
Wow.
If we are going to be faithful to our democracy and to the Constitution of the United States.
What she is saying there is extraordinarily dictatorial. I mean, wow.
And that is just a fact.
People are clapping for that.
We have to operate on many fronts. We have to operate in the Congress, in the courts, and in the court of public opinion.
And the court of public opinion. What the hell does the court of public opinion have to do with anything? Wow. Joy Reid says we are no longer a republic. This is more of the caterwauling of the left that Donald Trump is going to be acquitted. And the funny thing is, they've known it all along. Hi, Margie. Hi, William. They went down the primrose path with Adam Schiff, a complete partisan hack who had people in the White House planted to find anything. And he did everything he could to convince the Democrat Party. He had an inside scoop on a beeline to impeachment. He had it, and he had people convinced. And he had the Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, and he had Ciaramella, and he had Misko and Ciaramella working together in the White House. One worked for the State Department, the other a close personal friend. They wanted Donald Trump out of office the day that he was inaugurated. That was his pipeline. And then there's Adam Schiff. And Adam Schiff convinced everybody. I got this, man. I got this. And he didn't have anything. And the Democrats were buoyed by the House of Representatives because they were able to keep all of the questioning, all of the testimony in silence, without any rebuttal, without any representation of the president, and that's how they did it. Kangaroo court in the basement of the Capitol. But when it had to be addressed legally and openly in the Senate, That's when Democrats started panicking. That's when they started panicking. Adam Schiff will wear this like an albatross. Okay? He will wear this like an albatross the rest of his career. And I do not believe he is, because of this, a rising star in the Democrat Party. I've got a friend who I consider very dear, who's very left of center, and she thinks Adam Schiff is a hero and wants him to run for president. Adam Schiff will become nothing to the Democrat Party. Nothing that he did with this. When the acquittal happens, it's over. It's over for him. He will never be the president. He will never be in the spotlight again, because the Democrats aren't going to try and impeach Donald Trump again, because that's when the Schiff will really hit the fan. Okay. Joy Reid, more caterwauling from the left. We are no longer a republic.
Right. You've got the Saudis, you've got Israel, you've got Turkey, you've got all sorts of countries that may have an interest in who becomes the next United States president. And that poll that we just put up shows that overall 52% of Americans say that they think the U.S. is prepared versus 41% who think the U.S. is not prepared to keep this election safe and secure. Among
Now, this is funny, because the left, during the elections of Barack Obama, said that voter fraud is so rare as to be non-existent, it can't happen. Yet it does in places like Chicago, Youngstown, every Democrat hub in America, Cincinnati. Please, give me a break. But now they're actually concerned about the security of the elections, even though nothing was breached in the last one.
Democrats, it's only 31% who feel confident. Obviously, Republicans feel very confident, because if it is interfered with, it's probably to their benefit, and about 51% of independents.
Just real quick, why in the hell would Russia want Donald Trump in the White House rather than Hillary Clinton? Donald Trump is a hawk on defense. Donald Trump is a hawk on trade. Donald Trump is going to has rebuilt the American military. Hillary Clinton projected weakness. Hillary Clinton, as a Secretary of State, was a joke. The reset button. Do you remember that moment? Why in the hell would Russia want to interfere in the election to benefit a defense hawk for a stronger America rather than a weak-kneed, awful Secretary of State who allowed Benghazi to happen?
Is there anything being done at all to keep in other countries out of our election systems, and not just propaganda-wise, but, what if we wake up the night election and we're
propaganda-wise? You're on the chief dispenser of propaganda, MSNBC. Propaganda? Are you nuts? Propaganda is spewed out by NPR, ABC, CBS, sometimes MSNBC, CNN. That's the propaganda. You just hate it when there are other voices that can actually counter yours.
Told Trump won Vermont. How would we even deal with an actual interference in the vote?
Right. I mean, again, a direct attack on the United States, where a nation state has decided that they are going to actually hack the results and make it so obvious in such a way.
No. You said in the last election, I got to get a new microphone. You said in the last election that the elections could not be tampered with, and any type of voter fraud was an anomaly.
That one party, the Republicans, say, well, that's just too bad. That's the result of the election. Donald Trump wins. And the other party is left standing there blinking at a president who now believes he can do anything.
Okay, here we go. Now he's going to become a king.
He wants in the national interest. So, of course, all of our opponents in the
it sucks to be you.
Global threat arena, that's North Korea. As you said, Saudi Arabia has a very vested interest in keeping Donald Trump in as president of the United States, and they use Israeli, American, and other subcontractors to carry out nefarious hacking and intelligence activities.
Wow. I want to find out where he gets his weed, because it's awesome.
This nation is going to be under attack, cyber-wise, unlike anything that we've seen before. Not just
well, sure, and it's not going to happen from Russia per se. Are you kidding me?
Disinformation.
You know, honestly, I've had enough of this guy. Bye-bye, guy. Bye-bye, Malcolm Nance. Bye-bye. See you later. Oh, by the way, hi, Robert, and hi, Sam, and hi, Ryan. Teenage climate activist Greta Thunberg has been nominated for the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize by two Swedish lawmakers, Jens Holm and Håkan Svenneling, members of Sweden's Left Party. Imagine that. They said that the 17-year-old has worked hard to make politicians open their eyes to the climate crisis. Her work toward reducing our emissions and complying with the Paris Agreement is therefore also an act of making peace. And, of course, we withdrew from that in June of 2017. Thank you, Donald Trump. But here's the thing. You know what? She's actually done more than Barack Obama did, and he won the damn thing. She'd done more. He hadn't done anything when he won the Nobel Peace Prize. She at least got a $5 million yacht from her parents and said, "Oh, you know, sail across the Atlantic and make adults feel like you're in charge and demand a bunch of stuff, even though you're not in a position to demand a damn thing." She was also Time Magazine's 2019 Person of the Year. Was also nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize last year by 3 members of Norway's Parliament. Okay. What do we got here? Hold on one second. I got to get Rashida Tlaib here. Hold on one second. I don't know why she's not. Rashida Tlaib, did you hear about this? She made the mistake of booing Hillary Clinton. Let me find this video clip. I apologize. I thought I loaded it. VID. Oh, here it is. Okay. So Rashida Tlaib was at a Bernie Sanders campaign rally last week, and this happened.
Week when someone by the name of Hillary Clinton said that nobody, we're not going to boo, we're classy here. We're classy. I'll boo. You all know I can't be quiet. No, we're going to boo. That's all right. The haters will shut up on Monday when we win. There we go. I was going to say, haters.
Okay, there you go. So, don't be surprised if the next week you see the headline, Rashida Tlaib found dead in park, suicide suspected. Don't be surprised. Okay? She has since apologized to Hillary Clinton, by the way. She has apologized to Hillary Clinton. I'm sure the apology went something like this. Hillary, I just want you to know that I am thoroughly sorry for what I said. I'm not sure exactly was in my head when I did it. It certainly was not untoward. It was not meant to be anything negative. It was merely the spirit of the moment, and it was in a humorous setting, and I couldn't help myself. And please don't kill me. Oh, God, don't kill me. Don't kill me. No, anything, but don't kill me and my family. God, please, the Clintons, don't kill me. I think it went like that. Okay, so there's this cool ad that ran during the Super Bowl featuring a woman named Alice Johnson. She was released from prison. Donald Trump introduced and signed the Bipartisan Criminal Justice Reform Act, which allows a lot of felonies to be forgiven, a lot of people to be let out, like this woman who was a drug charge, I guess, and was sentenced to life. And it was over sentencing. It wasn't necessarily because of the color of her skin. It was just over sentencing. And here is the ad. It's getting all sorts of crap from people, I guess. But this ran during the Super Bowl. A lot of people are saying, the only reason why this woman was released because Kim Kardashian said release her. And that was part of it. Kim Kardashian did approach Donald Trump about her, yes. But he also signed the Bipartisan Criminal Justice Reform Bill as well. Here's the ad that ran during the Super Bowl.
I'm free to hug my family. I'm free to start over. This is the greatest day of my life. My heart is just bursting with gratitude. I want to thank President Donald John Trump.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
So that commercial was not about her. It included her. She's the story, but you've noticed in the middle of the ad, it said that thousands of families are being reunited. There you go. Thousands of families being reunited. You saw it in the spot. And it's happening across America. This woman should have never been jailed for life. Dear God in heaven. And now she can go out and she can live her life. She can live her life because we have over-sentenced a lot of stuff in this country. And the Criminal Justice Reform Act helped a lot with that. The reason why it did need to be reformed because of an act signed by Bill Clinton in 1994. Let's see here. Peta, I guess, ran an ad yesterday in the Super Bowl. Not so well received. Hold on one second. Yeah, this is a Peta's Super Bowl ad, and it's meant to have animals behaving like Colin Kaepernick. Okay, there's the bee kneeling like Colin Kaepernick as the national anthem is hummed. Okay, this is where it gets really stupid. The fish kneeling. Fish don't have knees. Hey, stop laying down there. Ah, yes, there's the human. And the American eagle. Which is also kneeling. There you go. The symbol of our great democracy. Okay, so here's the problem. This is a case of left eating left, all right? Instead of earning praise for their attempt to honor vegan Colin Kaepernick, the organization sparked fury among social justice warriors. And again, fish don't have knees. PETA claims their new animated commercial inspired by Colin Kaepernick's activism against racial inequality and systematic oppression. Far out, man. Was supposed to air during the Super Bowl, but the NFL allegedly pressured Fox to reject it. Oh, there was a snake kneeling. I guess there was a snake kneeling. I missed the snake kneeling. Snake don't have knees either. Okay. The group was lambasted by several people as stupid for kneeling snake, of course, and fish, and deemed respectable to the United States by others, sure. But where PETA received the most criticism was from social justice advocates accusing the group of tone deafness for appropriating Colin Kaepernick's protest against racial injustice and attempting to equate it to the plight of animals. So listen to this. This is great. This is snowflakes versus animals. Snowflakes versus animals tonight on Monday Night Raw. Hi, Victor. Hi, Marty. Hi, Phil. Michael Marriott wrote in The Root that with its ad, PETA colonized the Black Lives Matter movement, disrespected Colin Kaepernick's protest against injustice, and made a mockery of 400 years of systematic oppression by comparing black lives to grizzly bears and bald eagles. Erica Cobb, the Daily Blast Live, said the ad is so disrespectful, explaining black people already feel like dogs having clean drinking water is more important than black people having clean... Oh, black people already feel like dogs have clean drinking water is more important than black people have it clean drink. What the hell kind of sense does that make? Black people already feel like dogs having clean drinking water is more important than black people than having... Okay, whatever. Just, you know what I'm saying. Erica Cobb, again. So anyway, the left ate the left on this one. And did I mention that snakes and fish don't have knees? Okay. Oh, this is you may have recalled last week on Don Lemon's show. Don Lemon made fun of Trump supporters as a bunch of hicks who don't know how to read, etc. And they had a couple of snobby fops on the air with him, and the one is supposedly a GOP member, Trump hater. I don't know. the white guy, and then the black guy is just I don't know, another guy who hates Trump. But anyway, they got a real kick out of making fun of Mid-America and the people who kicked their butts in 2016 and their candidate all over the place. Here is the ad that the GOP has put together to point out how elitist the Democrat Party has become.
Donald Trump couldn't find Ukraine on a map if you had the letter U and a picture of an actual physical crane next to it. He knows that this is, an administration defined by ignorance of the world.
You could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
And so that's partly him playing to their base.
Anyone who supported this president is, at best, looking the other way on racism, at best.
The credulous boomer Rube demo that backs Donald Trump, that wants to think that Donald Trump's the smart one, and y'all elitists are dumb.
Trump always loves the low information guy.
You elitists with your geography and your maps.
Issue of racism across the country, because that's his base.
Your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading, your geography, no other country.
Wow. They do. Woo! RNC kicking some major booty on that one. Yeah, all the things that were said there. All of the things that were said there. You're racist. It's funny. The Democrat Party says because you are a Republican or you voted for Donald Trump that you're a racist. That is so ungodly insulting to those of us who aren't and never have been. You're stupid. You're illiterate. You're a hick. You're a Boomer Rube demo. You're part of the Boomer Rube demo is what you are. I'm an Xer Rube demo, I guess, because I'm a Gen Xer. So I don't know if there's a difference between the two. They still don't get it, do they? They still don't get it. They don't get it. Michigan Representative Rebecca Warren, 48 years old, was arrested for DUI on December 26, 2019. She was twice her legal limit. I'm going to share the video, and this isn't to make fun of her. I'm not here to make fun of somebody being arrested for drunk driving. I want to play a little bit of the video here of her in the back of the car.
I don't understand. I'm elected. I'm a senator. People would be like, the senator got arrested. They'd be like, this is going to be like the most famous arrest you ever made. You understand there's going to be a moment where we're both going to be on TV. It's going to be like, the senator from Ann Arbor's career is over. Seriously, literally, it's like, this is career ending for me.
Okay. So I'm not here to make fun of her because she was in the back of the seat. She realized she really screwed up. Nobody got hurt, but she realized she really screwed up. And what I'm hoping is that if she needs help, she'll get it. Okay? What I'm hoping is that this maybe makes her go, oh, yeah, wow. I've never had a DUI. I'm sure there were times that I got in a car and I should not have driven. And I think many of you can say the same thing. So I will just say I wish her well. And I hope that I hope her career isn't over because of it. And I hope that if she does need help, she gets help. Is that okay? All right. Finally, did the coronavirus get predicted by the Simpsons in 1993? Here's a little bit of the 1993 edition of the show. It's called Marge in Chains. I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, it's a virus called the Osaka flu spreads through Springfield after it's released from Japan, not China, Japan. Here's a little bit from the show.
Gotta get a juicer. Gotta drink juice. Lose weight. Won't get chest pain from answering the phone anymore.
Now, this is before Amazon, by the way, and this is when you actually had to call a phone number. The phone number, you millennials, that was a phone. He answered a phone there, and he placed an order that had to be delivered from somebody other than Amazon, most probably like the post office. I know, maybe FedEx, maybe UPS.
Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu. I've been working with a shattered pelvis for 3 weeks.
Yeah, there the germs go. Okay. All right.
Oh, my juice loosener's never going to come.
Hey, Dad, this came for you in the mail.
Mother, get an extra special hug ready. I bought you a new juicer. Good Lord. Flu germs entering every orifice in my head.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
What the?
The dreaded Osaka flu has hit Springfield with...
I don't know if I'd call it a prediction of the coronavirus.
over 300 cases now reported. Now over to Arnie Pie with Arnie in the Sky.
Route 401 is going around and around and around and around and around. And look out at the corner of 12th and Main because I'm going to be sick. Whoop.
Okay, Mr. Sun, give me what you got.
98.6. You're fine. Now hurry up or you miss your bus. Maybe you better take that temperature one more time.
Sarge, we keep getting orders to let the virus win.
Must be a school day. Lay down your arms.
All right. Let's make some puffs.
Okay, all right. I don't know if it's a prediction of the coronavirus exactly. The movie, what was that movie I mentioned the other day? That was more of a, what was that movie? It was Pandemic, or I don't know what the hell. It was one of those disaster movies. And there have been, guys, there have been a bunch of movies about this. Okay, there have been a bunch of movies about what happened in that town in China. I don't have the name in front of me right now, but we've seen this drill before. A secret lab where the most deadly viruses of mankind are stored in a populated area. What could happen? Oh my God! It might spread out of the factory into the community, and they'll do everything they can to try to block off the community. But somebody's going to get through it. Somebody will be on an airplane, and you'll see them sneeze, and that person's kind of like doing this, and the person gets off the plane, and they're feeling perfectly fine, and all of a sudden they just collapse. And we've seen this. And then zombies, and then the zombies. Right? Isn't that usually goes from pandemic to death to zombies? Right? Okay. Anyway, we've seen this before. Let's hope that it doesn't. Obviously enough, there's a lot of reports that China is covering up the real scope of it. Imagine that from China. I know, I'm as surprised as you are. China actually covering something up and lying about it to make the government look better. Like everything's under control. They never do that. Communists never do that. Oh, yeah, they always do. Okay. So it's time for me to go. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. I hope that you'll pray for Rush Limbaugh. I will. That's gigantic, earth-shattering news to broadcasting. And let's hope and pray that they can stop this. Prayers. Okay, there you go. All right, time for me to go. You're going to get a chance to visit patreon.com. That is a site where you can give me $5 a month or $1 a month, and I can continue doing this. I'm going to be launching here hopefully in the next week or two on the TV network that I've been a part of, that I've been told that I'm a part of, and this show will be appearing on, so I'm going to find out about that, and I'll be able to announce it officially, even though I kind of did. But anyway, hopefully that's going to start very soon. In the meantime, for the first time in our lives, 2020 is no longer hindsight. It's right there in front of you, so stop looking back. If you're going to fall forward. Have a glorious evening. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon.